everyone, my name is Jenna, but you guys can call me Jen. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Hi, hello. I just tried to make that little microphone work in my phone, and it does not, because none of these little mini adapter things seem to work with this. Like, they plug in, but they don't connect to my phone. So, alas, experiment failed. Experiment failed. I just have a bunch of little mini adapters now. Oh well, and a non-functioning microphone. Anyways, hello friends. Welcome to the weekend vlog. Oh my goodness, did I even say that? Did I even say my intro? Hello everyone, welcome to the weekend vlog, blah blah blah, if you will. Hi. It's a long weekend. I'm so excited. We have Monday off because it is Louis Riel Day here in Manitoba, where I live, but it's a stat in many places in Canada. So a bunch of different people have it off, which is exciting and fun. I love having days off. I'm so excited to just have a good quality weekend of days off. Really. This is also the weekend where I get to go see the Wuthering Heights movie with my friends on Sunday, so prepare for a rant chat at some point in this video about that movie. It should be an interesting one. If anything, I'm excited to just, get together with my friends and yap about the book and the movie, whether we like it or not. So, for reference, you can go watch my last weekend vlog about that whole rant. Anyways, I also got my aardvark order in the mail today. I got The Poet Empress by Shantao in the mail. I'm very, very excited to have this. And it is what I'm planning on reading this weekend, other than my current read. So, we've got plans, my guys. Plans. I am currently reading An Arcane Inheritance by Camilla Cole. I am a ways through it, which is also an aardvark book. Fun fact. I am a chunk of the way through, and I am liking it, so that's good. There are a couple things that I have issues with, pacing and story information wise, but when I was reading this the other day when I picked it up, I was very entranced, very enthralled by this, and I was really, really, really enjoying the thriller aspect of this. This is not, I have never really seen this advertised or marketed as a thriller. It definitely fits. It's gripping as fuck. Our girl does not get a second to breathe. So I have those two books I would love to read this weekend. And I also got 2 library books. The other day I also returned a bunch, so my library basket here is very empty. But we've got The Full Moon Coffee Shop by Mai Mochizuki, which is a translated work. Cozy, translated if I'm feeling the need. And I also have the new Isabella Bañez, which, I don't know if it's gonna show up on camera, but that shit is holographic. These end papers. I love when the library gets cool special editions because then I get to see them. Or even if this is not the special edition, if this is just the regular first printing, it's pretty cool. But yes, I did get another Isabella Bañez, even though last year my second worst book of the year was one of her books, because I have read her, I have it on my shelves, because it was I got it last year in a book outlet box for free on top of everything else. It was just accidentally slid in my order. But What the River Knows by Isabella Bañez. This duology was batshit crazy, but fun. And my friend Julie, from Julie Reads on Instagram, she describes her books as CW books. Are they good quality? No, but they can be a lot of fun to read. So I'm excited about that. And I think that's her first adult fantasy. So I'm interested in it. I have very, very low hopes with it, but it could be fun. So overall, we have a lot to choose from. I also have 3 other physical TBR books that I would really like to get to, and another library book that I mentioned last week, which is A Sorcery of Small Magics by Mai Gadusi. So lots of things that I could be reading this weekend. Very excited, very fun. I also want to try and work on Far Horizons at some point this weekend, because I did pick up my notebook the other day, because I think one of my things that's stopping me from getting back into Far Horizons is the fear of the blank page and the fear of the specifically blank computer screen page. So I decided, this is crazy lighting. I have 1 lamp here. That's why. Very drama. But I don't have that much of a fear of writing brainstorming notes in a notebook. So I started at work the other day during teaching, I had a 15-minute break. And so I started thinking about What the Everlasting, which I got a copy of yesterday. I didn't get my blood work done this week. I have an appointment for next week, but I did have some bullshit with my prescriptions this week. And so to convince myself to go get them, because I needed them, I needed the refill, and to go across fucking town yesterday, I told myself after physio, because my legs were killing me after physio. They had me doing all sorts of stuff and they're very sore today. My thighs be burning. I had to go to the library like yesterday and then I had to go to Costco, which was going to be like a 15-20 minute drive one way. And I was like, okay, because I'm going over there, I'm going to go to the bookstore nearby and I'm going to treat myself to a copy of The Everlasting, which does break my book buying ban, but not in a way that adds to my TBR. So it's like a weird little loophole and I really wanted a copy of this. So because of that, I last night was sitting here and I transferred all of my little notes and annotations in my journal that I'm in my media journal that I was doing. And I like went through, I almost started rereading it because that's when I was like, oh, I want to like annotate this. Let me like, you know, go through and annotate it and reread it. And then I was like, no, just go through and put all the page number quotes that you wrote down in your media journal, put that in here, and then you can come back and reread it and annotate it then as well at a different time. And so that's what I did last night. I love it so much. I also got myself a mug, but it's over there and it's very cutie. Anyways, so because The Everlasting did inspire me so hard with a specific character in Sage's story, who is going to be a POV character, you did meet her in a second story. Her name is Lara. She is my Lady Knight. Essentially, she is if we're going at it in D&D terms, like she is my paladin. She is big lady with sword and armor. Like that's who she is. And I'm really starting to lean to the Lady Knight side of things with her backstory and stuff like that. And so a lot of the stuff that was with Una in The Everlasting was really inspiring to Lara as a character. So I was like, oh, let me like mess around with her backstory at work. So I kind of did a little bit of that. Thinking about that the next night, essentially, I was like, what if I just have a scene where Lara is finally telling Sage, probably not in book 1, probably going to be in book 2, what her like shit is, like who Ingrid is to her, who's like a backstory character, all this kind of stuff. And so it was partly to Sage in a moment, like they're just alone in a room. I don't even know where they are. Like in my head, I'm like, well, they're alone in a room, but I don't know if that's like in a hotel, in a tavern, on a boat, you know, whatever. So it'll be somewhere. I was just like, let me just have Lara tell me about her backstory. And then that spawned just a lot. You know, just a little bit. And it ended up turning into a very, very like smutty scene. And I was like, oh, and it just started like jump-starting some thoughts about what I have for their relationship specifically and how they act towards one another, Lara and Sage. So will that scene be in any book? Probably not. It's just something for me to get my brain going. So that was really enjoyable the other night. And I literally stayed up till 4 a.m. that night because I just was so stuck in that scene and I couldn't stop writing it. Like you'll even notice my writing at the beginning of that scene is like actually kind of like fine and tight and normal as one is. And then by the end of it, chaos, because that's what happens. That's what happens. Anyways, I would love to work on Sage's story a little bit more. I want to get back to it. I want to just start drafting it and like getting through it so that I can have a first draft done so that I can then go back and make it better. So we shall see if that happens this weekend, if I get the gumption to do so. But I have lots of opportunity. I got lots of time. We should be good and we should be fine. It's going to be a good weekend, I think. I would love to finish reading an Arcane Intelligence. Nope, an Arcane Inheritance, not Intelligence, today. I don't think I have that much time left on the audiobook, but that would be the plan. That would be the goal. Ooh, I'll show you the mug because I did use it today, but isn't it cutie? Oh my god. It's cutie. It's so like retro and it has like a nice retro curve to it. I love it so much. Yay. Little treats for myself. And I got an Instacart order because your girl is on her period and your girl is not about to go outside today. I ordered Instacart groceries with resupply because I didn't have anything, and candies, some treats. I eat my Tostitos, my lamb Tostitos. I got some Brooksides and some mini eggs, treats for me. That's a lot of mini eggs, I'm not gonna lie. That was a $14 mini egg bag. But you know what? This is gonna last me the weekend. And I also got some fun cereal because I love a good cereal and I haven't had a bowl of cereal in a long time. So got myself some cereal, I got myself milk, yogurt, a couple other things that I needed, but I did that as well. And I also yesterday really fucked up and forgot I was making sourdough. So I have this weird malformed sourdough because I think I overproofed it too hard. Like I mixed my sourdough loaf and I was like, okay, in an hour come back and start the stretch and folds. I forgot I had a sourdough, and then it was 11 p.m. and I walked into my kitchen and I was like, oh, I gotta redo my sourdough. And I was like, my sourdough. So last night at 11 p.m. I just kneaded the fuck out of it because it really needed kneading, even though it had expanded so much. And then I let it rise a little bit, and it fucking did not work. It is bread of some kind. She's a little flat. She's gonna be a little dense, but that's okay. I'm gonna make another loaf tomorrow. That's what's up. That's what's happening. I did not do my Friday video yesterday because I got home from the prescription and from physio and all this kind of stuff. I was so fucking tired and I felt so weird. I felt so discombobulated. I now know my period was coming and I did not realize that. So I got ready for my video. I had all the books laid out. They're all here now. And I just got home and I was like, I'm not filming. So I do apologize for missing that, but I will film this video at some point because it is a fun video that I want to film. It's like the authors that I want to read more in, whether that is someone that I've read for the first time, someone I've only read their debut, or like an author like Octavia E. Butler, where I just want to read all of their backlist, you know? So it's gonna be a fun little video and it will be done. It will be done. Anyways, where's my child? I'm feeling very chatty today. So, you know. Oh! Here she is. She's laying on my pants on the floor. She says, Mom, you gotta clean up your fucking bathroom. What do you think? You say hello to everybody? Yeah. You say hello? Oh, that's so nice. Give him nice sniffs. Very good job. Hey, Bubba. Anyways. So yes, my friends, welcome to the vlog. It's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be very chatty, and it's a long weekend. So hopefully we get at least one book read. Possibly two. At least a little bit of work done on Sage's story, whether that is words written or just planning done. Lots of baby snuggles with my little baby right here. Oh, what's up, baby? And lots of chats about Wuthering Heights, probably, because we have not only the movie on Sunday, but book club right after. So it will be fun and exciting, I think. Anyways, welcome to the vlog. I think it's gonna be a good one. I'll catch up with you when I have something more to update you on, but welcome. Hello, friends. Oh my goodness gracious. Happy Saturday. Technically Sunday because it's 2:10 in the morning, but hello. I have reading news. Happy Valentine's Day also from myself and that little bean over there who's looking at us. Hi, boo-boos. Oh, she's so sleepy. Oh. I have done very little today, my beautiful friends, except for sit right here and read. And you know what? That's totally okay. That's totally fine. So I did finish an Arcane Inheritance earlier by Camilla Cole. It was fine. It was just fine for me. There was a lot of issues to me, anyways, with the craft of the book. I think I mentioned earlier that, I don't know what it is about this one, but just something about it feels unbalanced. Whether that is in the way that we're given information, whether that is in the plot, things like that. Like, it takes forever to get going. Like, a lot of the delineation of information and magic is just kind of sporadic and gratuitous. And then I had a lot of issues with our character Hudson, because even though he was very interesting at the beginning and I was like, oh, this could be a very interesting character if we're given like an interesting exploration into him, we're really not throughout the entire thing. He becomes a character that like his moods and his personality changes to serve the plot in a lot of places. I don't know. And like any of the romance or like stupid love triangle bullshit was not needed and totally just not well done. Because, okay, I'm gonna spoil the ending, so I'm gonna put a spoiler banner on the bottom because I need to talk about the rest of this. But if you don't want to be spoiled at all for this book, mute me until the banner goes away. But okay, so this book is it's been a dream the whole time kind of a book. And when I first got to that revelation, I was so fucking mad because that feels genuinely like a cop-out. And then when we are getting to these moments where we are learning more about like why she's been trapped in a dream for 3 years, reliving this year 3 times over, like kind of a Groundhog Day situation, I was like, well, why isn't that a little bit more clear? Like this could have been such an interesting book if the author had decided to lean into that something is wrong here feeling of being stuck in this kind of cyclical nature, and she really didn't do that. Like there was an interesting play with like memory loss, but it was so seldom and it was just like it was so drawn out that I was like, what is even the point of these memory loss things? And I see them now that I'm now at the end of this, because of course these are memories from when she was awake in the real world and not trapped in this magical dream. And so I was like, okay, I get that, but it's not used in a way that's like interesting. Like it's not like she ever thinks about these things. She doesn't ever question other people about these things. And honestly, like a lot of the times my questions at the beginning of this book, when we got these moments of her like remembering things that like she's like, these haven't happened yet, but why do I feel like they've happened? Like they involve other people. And I'm like, okay, well, if you remember being at this campus and if you remember being here and being in these different places, why aren't other people recognizing you? Why aren't you asking other people things? Like being like, have I been here before? Like just little questions like that would have satisfied me so much, even if everyone else in the narrative was like, no. Like it would have been a satisfying thing to me. But no matter when these little events happen, anytime she has this memory of her and Hudson from before, it's like she's completely all in her head. She never asks him about it. She never questions it further. She never asks herself really about him that much until it gets right near the end and then everything is kind of exploded. So that really bothered me. I think it could have been really, really cool and a lot creepier, quite honestly, if we had been trapped in this situation that feels more claustrophobic, feels more like there are limits to where she can go and there are things like that. But there were so many other things happening with the magic in this book that were so poorly done that I think whatever she was trying to do with that magical dream thing at the end really didn't work. Because on top of that, when we got to the end and we got the story of how she got there, we got like a little snippet of like the before times. I was like, why didn't we get that story? That would have been such a cool story to get, having the lead up to this and her like slowly being swallowed by the old masters and whatever, and then being slightly betrayed by her boyfriend and all this kind of stuff. And like, you know, that would have been such a more interesting story. And then I could see with like what Camilla Cole was doing format wise and like vignette wise at the end with like the kind of going through time vibe. It could have been done better if we had then got like an everlasting vibe where we revisit the world and we revisit it. It's like someone pressed restart on the story and then we have that kind of going through. I think it could have been done so much better if we had started the story not while she was in her dream world, but before that, and when she was actually meeting everybody and actually going through this stuff and learning about her magic that way. Because also the magic in here was fucking bullshit. Like there was no rules to it. There was no, not even that there was no rules to it, like it was kind of this unknowable magic. It was literally just like the author had decided to pick up all these interesting things that she had read in different books and thrown them at this book. Like we start with a ghost summoning that was way too easy for her even to figure out how to do. She just had a book that was like, here, ghost summoning. And she's like, great, I don't know how we got here. And then she suddenly can summon ghosts, which is a very specific kind of magic. And then she's stopping soccer balls midair and like causing like explosions on the ground. Great. Okay. Is that explosion on the ground a side effect of all her magic, or is it just stopping objects? I don't know. And then there's moments where she fully just fucking regrows grass. She can conjure light from her hands. And then near the end, she can conjure fire. And I'm just like, okay, like what is the structure here? What is the reasoning? Because these all feel so very, very different. Like if you were trying to paint a world where we have people who have different powers and like different people can do different things, that would be fascinating and easy and interesting to get into. Like if there's one person who's a fire person, one person who's the light person, one person who's the regrower. But no. Our character can do all of them. And it's explained away at the end by the fact that she has wild magic. And that then is like the reason why she's being imprisoned by this system that is run by these old white dudes and a couple people of color who are complicit in this system because they are one of the good ones. Like I see what she's trying to do. I see what Camilla Cole is trying to do with what she's saying, with the messages in this about like systemic racism and these structures that are in place, and especially in academia and these old institutions, right? Like I see it, I get it, and I think it's done okay because she definitely gets the point across for sure. Not a doubt in that. But there's just so much else going on and it wasn't laid out well. There's no balance to the story. And I think there's a professor that like has these salons being hosted, and Hudson is part of them for some reason. I don't know how he got to be part of them, but he's part of them and he brings her to one. And then we just don't talk about that for 150 pages. And then it's like, oh, you remember Professor Colt? We're back at one of his salons. And I was like, Jesus Christ. And then he has something to do with the final endgame. And I'm like, what is happening? So I don't know if that was Camilla's goal or endpoint to make the book feel unbalanced in that way, but it was not done in a good way. Like it wasn't done in a way that was purposeful. It felt like things were just disjointed in the plot. And that was like a craft issue. It was not the story being disjointed, because there is a difference when you're dealing with time and dream stuff, when it is actually disjointed and off-putting and like could really lend to the horror and thriller elements of this. Because honestly, like I was so excited about this book. And when I was first reading it, I got like 40% of the way through and I was like, yeah, I'm really enjoying this. The thriller elements are fantastic. Like they're keeping me going. And then at that point, I was like, there are a few things that are a little unbalanced. But then when I got into the second half of the book, that just like the unbalancing and the weirdness annoyed me more and more and more. And I just didn't like the relationship in here. I didn't like the way that our main character kept forgetting about her two acclaimed, apparently her best friends. And she just kept forgetting about them in the narrative, and the narrative kept forgetting about them. And like all these little things. And I was like, this is just, it's not cohesive. It's not like, it needed like 2 more big story edits to really get it to the place that I think Camilla Cole was trying to get it to. But that's just to say it was bad. Like, it was an enjoyable book. It was readable. I did enjoy the messaging, and I did enjoy, once I got to the end, I was like, okay, I get it. Just didn't quite hit with me. So 3 stars. 3 stars, I think, for this one, because it wasn't atrocious. It was almost there. I'm just being overly nitpicky. So 3 stars. 3 stars. And like it reminded me so heavily of like the school, specifically like the school vibe of Legendborn. Also, there was a couple other things that it kept reminding me of that I was just like, okay, like this, I think I wrote them down in my notes. I was like, okay, like here we go, we're into it. Legendborn campus vibes, of course. And then I said Alex Stern, like Ninth House kind of a vibe with the secret societies and the campus feel again. Like it was quite similar to that from Leigh Bardugo. And then I also wrote in like a dash of like Babel's institutional callouts for racism. But I definitely think it fits more in the Legendborn category, just not nearly as good as Legendborn. Because Legendborn is a fan-fucking-tastic book. Anyways, so I finished that today. Then I was like, okay, we're gonna pick up The Poet Empress, because why not? Why not? I got it, and I really wanted to dive in. And I am 65% of the way through, which is crazy. I kept going. I have the ALC, the audiobook arc from NetGalley. Lucky enough that I could still use it to listen to this book as well. And the audiobook is really, really well done. Like the audiobook narrator is fantastic, who voices Way's POVs, our main characters, like all her POV. And then we have a man come in every once in a while, very rarely, for a couple of like a story told by a man's point of view, which is an interesting take. an interesting choice, and I really enjoyed that edition. So this has been fascinating. This book is really giving She Who Became the Sun meets Kaikei. I did not like Kaikei at all. I really, really love She Who Became the Sun. So it is definitely more, it's sitting more in the Kaikei kind of story vibe, because we are stuck in this palace the whole time. Like, our main character is like not allowed to leave unless she's like taken somewhere by people. And yet it's giving me She Who Became the Sun vibes, because it's like, I don't know why. I don't know why it's She Who Became the Sun vibes, but it just kind of is. Maybe with the way of like the heavens stuff, like the powers that our people have in here, that the men have in here. So this is a book that has been talked about a lot on the bookish internet recently. People are saying this is a 6-star book for them. People are saying this is a new 5-star favorite of the year, etc., etc. They love it so much. But it's also incredibly, incredibly dark. And I was like, great, I'm into it. I really want a dark book right now. It's not that bad. I don't know what it is. Like, it might be the tone in which it's written in, but it's not that bad. Like, obviously we are dealing with some really crazy shit content wise, because our main character Wei, she is this young girl who wants nothing more than to somehow marry well to get her family wealth, so that her younger brother can grow up and go and learn and get an education, and that people will no longer be hungry, etc., etc. Her mom will have her married off properly. Her dad won't be in so much pain because he's a rice farmer, what have you. One day the opportunity comes that she can be a part of this like selection, because the emperor changed his heir. He like declared that his heir is no longer his firstborn son, it's his secondborn son, who is this known cruel motherfucker. Like, Prince Taran his reputation is atrocious. Like, he is awful, torturous, hurts animals kind of vibe, right? And it's known that he's like this by like the villagers. So she's like, and if I do this, I could get my family in like better footing. So she tries. Originally, because she's like technically nothing more than a rice farmer's daughter, she gets laughed at. But she convinces the eunuch who's like going around like picking people to be like, what if I am the emperor's joke? Like, what if I become his joke? Just take me along to see what happens, and if he hates me, he can behead me if he wants to. And the eunuch is like, okay, cool, get in the wagon. Weird turn of events is that Prince Taran chooses her to be his empress. So out of his like 30 concubines that he gets, who are all picked by the empress, whoever the acting empress is at that moment, she picks like 29 of these women, because they are all titled women in some kind of a way, and it's like a political move. And then when Taran sees Wei, he looks at her and he's like, I'm gonna marry you, you're gonna be my empress. And it's just like, everyone's like, what the fuck? What do you mean? Like, he's drunk out of his mind, he's not a good man, all this kind of stuff. And then it becomes such an interesting game within the palace of, one, not only does Wei have to survive 300 days as like an empress to be, being regularly called upon by her husband to do, the concubine things. She also has to battle like the fact that all the other concubines want her dead. And she's like also starting to learn how to run her own house. She has like servants and stuff, and she starts to like befriend the servants in different ways, and she starts to ask her personal eunuch scribe guy to like teach her how to read, which is illegal. And then she starts to teach the other people, like the servants, the women servants in her house, how to read, which is still illegal. And she's just like, she's such an interesting character. So it's her dealing with the regular abuse from her husband to be. But the weirdest thing is, it's not sexual abuse. It's not. He just tortures her every night, and not in a sexual way. And I'm so flabbergasted. I'm still flabbergasted, and I'm 65% of the way through this. I'm flabbergasted as to why. Because like you hear about these things, and the setup is there that it's like, oh, it would be so easy for this torture to leak into a sexual thing, but it never does. And I don't know why. I'm just like, there's gotta be a reason. And then, so we're having all this, Wei's learning to weather her new husband, and also gain some balls, essentially, as her own in this, as empress to be. And then when she marries him and all this kind of stuff, like, it's just like, it's this churning of information, and she's slowly learning different things, and she's kind of doing her own little moves that are mostly just like instinctual moves in the moment, but she's very, very, very smart, very clever, and the things that she does to get herself out of trouble or to like protect herself and her position are like, she just thinks on the fly, and I'm like, yeah, okay, let's go, girl. The content is extremely dark, but honestly, I don't find it that dark. Like, I'm reading it and I'm like, oh no, like this is kind of light. Like, this is kind of not lighthearted vibes, but like it's lighter than I anticipated tone wise, because everyone was saying it was so dark. But I'm reading it and I'm like, yeah, like it's not that bad. Which I don't know what that has to say about me and my shit that I read, but like reading Dawn by Octavia Butler was so much worse than this, and that one isn't even like intending to be dark. It's just the way the story is told. The tone is a little bit more biting in that one. In this one, I don't find it that dark. Like, the tone itself I find very conversational almost. Not even really conversational. I mean, I guess. Just open it up, and the first sentence on this page is, I didn't cry as eunuchs dragged me through the cold rain and deposited me somewhere deep in the East Palace, but only because nothing felt real. It was like everything was still a continuation of that night story, embellished to be as frightening as possible. I was not the prince's betrothed, I tried to tell myself. I was still a girl in the lawn, dancing with the rest of my village under a clear evening sky, and I had only dreamed the palace. So, like, I don't know what it is about the writing style of this, but it doesn't give dark to me. It's an interesting balance of like the content that we are being given with a lot of the descriptions of how Taryn is torturing her, but we're not lingering in that. Like, we linger in it that first night that she's with him because of the way that it's the first time she's being tortured as such. And it's not like, he doesn't ever go back to that specific torture method either. He has like an affinity for blades. That's his whole thing. That's his whole magic. So he has an affinity for cutting people, and he can also heal wounds. So what he does with her is a lot of just like injuring her and then healing her so that he like is never found out that he's doing this stuff or what have you. So I don't know what it is. If you've read this book, does that make any sense? Or am I talking out of my ass at the fact that this tone, I don't know what it is. The tone is not super dark. Just the content is, which is such a weird way to say it. But I'm really, really liking this book. I'm enjoying it. I'm liking the way that the information is given to us. And I think it's just fascinating that we're learning about Taryn and his brother through different kinds of accounts. Like, we're learning it from one of the oldest like stewards of the family, and Hessen, and then we're also learning it from word of mouth from a couple people, and then also from Maro, who is Taryn's older brother. Maro, his like private journal entries as a kid. And I think that's fascinating that we're getting different like reported information about Taryn as we are also getting the story of like what he's like now. And there is such a disconnect, and I don't understand why there's this big disconnect, because Taryn as a boy was so sweet, and now he's literally like torturing way perfunctorily. Like, there's no joy in it for him, and I'm just like, okay, why? What happened to you? What happened to you? Like, I need to know. And I find it fascinating that we are getting a look at Taryn and Maro as like boys and developing this like kind of more empathy for them. Like, it is such a fascinating thing for me as an author to have someone who is seen as so evil and so terrible and deplorable and a monster by so many people, and then you get the backstory of them and it's like, oh shit, like they're still a real person. And I told Julie, because she's currently reading this one as well right now. I told her earlier when I started, I was 70 pages in. I was like, okay, cool. This is great. Awesome. But if Homie stays as a psychopath the whole time, it's going to be very boring for me, because I need depth. I need interest. Like, because like if he just keeps torturing her for no reason, like there's got to be a reason. There's got to be depth. Because I read Butter earlier this year, and Butter to me would have been so fascinating. But one of the issues I had was that the serial killer in that was just one note anti-feminist, the same shit. Like, she didn't change. Like, she didn't have any depth. That was just her thing. That really bothers me when you have a character like that, because it's like, no, they're people too, you know, like they can't just all be one thing. There are people behind it. And there was literally just a passage that I read here from our main character saying that she wanted to kind of see through this person. What did she say? On page 251, she says, there was a person hiding behind all those blades, and if I wanted to kill him, I had to find him first. So the whole thing of this book is that she wants, one of the ways to kill people in here especially someone who has a ward around him like he does, and he is deemed unkillable, is a love poem. And there's this one specific, I think it's called a love heart poem, and it's a very specific thing that has been done so few times because it's so hard to do it accurately, because you genuinely have to love someone and also still want them dead for it to work. And it's fascinating that she's collecting all this information for that poem, and she's learning how to read and write for that poem. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's cool. Yeah, it says on the flap, to survive, Wei must harden her heart, rely on her wit, and become dangerous herself, even if it means learning the art of poetry, magic, and secret in a world where women are forbidden to read, and wielding the most powerful spell of all, a ballad of death and love. I find it fascinating because so far she very much does not love this man, and she hasn't really even talked about the fact that she must also love him for this spell to work. I don't think she's really thought that through. But it's just fascinating to see this character grow and be so curious and genuinely like clever and going through things her way. And she's like, the whole thing, I don't want to become cruel. Like, that is my thing. And I'm just like, yeah, bitch, cut out that girl's tongue. You're not cruel. I don't know. I am enjoying this, so we shall see what it ends up being. But right now, it's not at a 5-star. Like, it's not at a 5-star enjoyment. It's more like a 4-star enjoyment. I'm interested. And what I am also really interested in is to go and look up other people's reviews to see why they loved it so much. Because so many people are saying this is like a 6-star. So who's to say? Maybe this last chunk will really, really win me over. I gotta go to bed because it's Wuthering Heights day tomorrow. I have been like lining up my arguments in my head from what I've been seeing from people who have already seen the movie and who have read the book, and they're saying like these are the main criticisms and stuff. So I have these main criticisms in my head, and I'm going into this movie knowing it is an absolutely shit adaptation, but I want to see if it even stands on its own as a movie. But again, you can't really remove an adaptation completely from its source material, especially when the adaptation ties itself so directly to that source material and establishes it as a adaptation of that source material. Because there's only so far you can go without completely removing the heart of the story, and that is what Emerald Fennell did when she cast a white person as Heathcliff with Jacob Elordi. To like go even further, she has colorblind casting for Edgar Linton and also Nellie. From what I've heard, I have not yet seen it, so I'll make my own assumptions when I do see it, but from what I've heard, she has made these two people, the only two people of color in the whole film. They are like the villains of the film, and so it becomes this like white person trying to get away from the horrible people of color. Like it's a dumb racist choice on Emerald Fennell to, one, not have a person of color play Heathcliff, and two, colorblind cast two people who have now become the villains of the story, and thus making it like oh, the white people are superior in this movie, you know? So those are two things. And then the third thing I'm really, really, really disappointed about, and I think is an absolutely atrocious, out of touch, beyond awful thing, is that she has changed Isabella's story from being one of domestic violence and her escaping the cycle of abuse and going to live on her own for a number of years before she finally passes away and all this kind of stuff. She escapes Heathcliff. She gets away from him and the narrative, and she is free for a while. And it takes that narrative of a domestic violence survivor and makes her like the abuse and makes it into her kink. It makes her like being tied up like a dog. It's like Emerald Fennell read the scene. I genuinely don't even think she read Wuthering Heights. I think she just read Wuthering Heights fanfic as a kid and decided to make movies on it. Because like she must have like come across the scene of where Heathcliff kills fucking Isabella's dog to like prove to her what kind of person he is right before he like takes her away to marry him. It's like she saw that scene and was like, oh, what if Isabella was the one who was barking like a dog? And I'm just like, whoa, that is so tone deaf. What the fuck? So those are my main complaints so far from seeing what I've seen, but I will come back tomorrow with more discussions on the movie after I have fully seen it. I have not seen any of Emerald Fennell's other movies. I have not seen Saltburn, and I have not seen Powerful Young Women or whatever that other one is. But what I've heard from a lot of reviews and a lot of film critics is that Emerald Fennell goes for shock value and has trouble sticking the landing with her movies because there's very little substance to them. And it sounds like Wuthering Heights, quotation marks, is the same, if not worse, because it has taken this beautiful, dark, deeply terrifying novel that has so many incredible themes that it plays with and examines and handles so well, and dumbs it down to two white people just wanting to fuck each other on the moors. She should have just written her own story or just kept it to AO3, because this is an atrocity. This is a bastardization, not an adaptation, a bastardization, from what I can see. Anyways, I am going in incredibly biased. I am going in believing I'm not going to like this movie at all, but I'm going to try keep an open mind to see if the movie, if you completely remove it away from Wuthering Heights, if you like renamed it, like if it would stand up, or if it is genuinely just kind of an empty movie that doesn't really do anything, you know? I have a feel I'm literally gonna like bring my book with me tomorrow, my media thing, and also my copy of Wuthering Heights, because I have like questions and stuff that I want to ask my friends about the novel and what they thought about it and all this kind of stuff. I have this whole section at the back ready, saved for talking about the movie Wuthering Heights. And I've already written down like my prelim thoughts from just like seeing what people are talking about. And then once I see the movie, I'm going to go in and actually do a deep dive on what I think. And I have a little baby stack of Post-it notes. There's like a couple here that I've written down, or that I've got in here, so that when I'm talking to my friends, I can like write like quick jot notes and then later come back and write my final thoughts. This media journal has been so fucking awesome. Like I feel like I'm actually remembering the things that I'm reading now, because I'm genuinely thinking about them and putting them down. Like I'm already like so far into this that I've used so many pages. Like I'm up to a year of pages used already, and it's February. Crazy. I might need to get another one of these by the end of the year. I don't know. We'll see. It's been fun. Highly recommend getting yourself a media journal. Anyways, Jesus Christ. I've been talking for over a half hour to you guys. It's just been a while, and I've had lots of updates, but I need to go to bed. And then tomorrow, Wuthering Heights. And then maybe I'll finish The Poet Empress tomorrow as well, because I feel very interested in it, and I just want to know. I want to know why Taran is the way he is. I need to know. Anyways, I'll chat to you tomorrow for Sunday.
So no.
Okay. I have so many thoughts. We're gonna go Boston Pizza now, but it was really boring. What the fuck? So, saw Wuthering Heights, had book club, had good pizza, had okay conversation. It's hard when you're in a restaurant, you know, but it was a fun day. I seem to be in the minority of my friends when I came out of that movie saying it was boring. Genuinely, how am I gonna go about this? Okay, so I went in knowing all of the shit that I've previously discussed about this movie, about the fact that it is not a good adaptation. It is like she took the names of aka Emerald Fennel. It's like she took the names and just put them on characters and did her own thing. Did she even read Wuthering Heights? I don't think so. I think she read fan fiction as a 14-year-old and decided to run with that. Because like there was no... Here's the thing with adaptations, okay? Because honestly, this was a bastardization. Was it though? I can't even say that, because there was nothing to this movie. It was kind of just pretty and boring, in my opinion. Like, I can't even really say it was a bastardization of Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights. It was just a boring, kind of badly done attempt at a retelling of it, and in a very strange way. But here's the thing with adaptations, the fact, also Freya's fucking freaking out because I'm home, so she's like, zoom in. If you hear anything in the background, that's her. Adaptations, they are so hard to get right for so many different reasons. Like books to film, an entirely different media, you're getting different points of view. Books are so internal, you are sitting in a headspace with characters, which you don't get in movies, all this kind of stuff. And I genuinely think that there are no perfect adaptations other than BBC's Pride and Prejudice. That is a perfect adaptation. Don't come for me. Like, that is a perfect adaptation of that book. Yet you get adaptations like the Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio in it with guns. Like, I described it to my friend today. I was like, oh, have you seen the Leonardo Romeo and Juliet with guns. And he looked at me, he goes, West Side Story? And I was like, yes, but no, like there is actually a Romeo and Juliet with guns, a modernized Romeo and Juliet with guns, and it's really well done. Whatever that director decided to do, like I think it's a wonderful adaptation and an exploration of the text in a slightly different way. And I think that adaptations can be done so well by exploring different things like that. Like in the 2005 Pride and Prejudice. Sure, it's not historically accurate. Sure, it's just a very beautiful movie. But like, I think it was a mid adaptation of the book Pride and Prejudice, but it is a beautiful movie and it does what it set out to do, and it gets the central themes of Pride and Prejudice down. That's really the thing with adaptations for me. As someone who's an English major and as someone who is a book lover, I have such a hard time with book to screen adaptations because I think that they're done poorly because it's so hard to do. Like honestly, the best adaptations you're gonna get are the ones that are book to TV, like that are stretched out and you actually get to explore the story more and all that kind of stuff. But then again, like as I said earlier, adaptations are hard because books are so internal and you're living in a character's head, you're going through all that kind of stuff. And I think actually, I have not seen People We Met on Vacation, but I listened to my friend Sophia talk about it. I think that a lot of the problems that I had with the book myself, because that's my least favorite Emily Henry, is that I did not like the character Poppy. And Sophia came out of that. You can go watch her video of her talking about it. She's got a couple videos, and one of them she talks about in one of her vlogs. She talks about the People We Met on Vacation movie, and it's her favorite Emily Henry. So seeing that, and then she's like, I was really annoyed by Poppy, and I'm like, yeah, because we're not getting her internal shit. We are mostly just getting what she is to outward and like at what the character is to other people, because that is what they are portraying. And that's what annoyed me about Poppy, is how she was with other people. And we're not getting all of her internal shit, so you're not balancing that bullshit that she's giving to other people. Anyways, it's been a really long time since I've read that book. I don't really remember it at all, but like that's one of the things. It's hard to adapt a character properly because you're not getting the internal stuff. So when people take adaptations and run with them, like the Romeo and Juliet with guns, I don't remember the director's name of that one. Or like Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, which I have not yet watched, but I do want to watch it because I really enjoy the novel of Frankenstein. I've read it like 3 times now. And I think it's a fascinating story, and I really want to see what he's done with it specifically, because I know he's taken it and like turned it into a gothic romance in a kind of a, like almost, you know? And he's done that better than Emerald Fennell did with Wuthering Heights, which has been it's so interesting. I think even Sophia, she finished the book today and she was like, I don't understand why the cultural zeitgeist is so heavily thinking of this as a romance. And my other friend SJ in the group chat, she was like, well, that's because people sometimes confuse lowercase romance books with uppercase romance literature, which is literature from the Romantic period. And it's very, like, people confuse that. And then there's also like, you know, the OG, Heathcliff could be seen as like the OG bad boy, like, you know, there's all this kind of stuff. People misread things all the time and then misrepresent, and then they get misrepresented in media, and then we get things like Emerald Fennell's Wuthering Heights, which in the context of the movie, which I will talk about in a second, is sort of successful. I really have a hard time saying that. Like I'm losing the words for it. So in connection to Wuthering Heights by Emerald Fennell is not a good adaptation. I genuinely don't think it is, because not only does it strip away the central themes of this book, being like, it only plays with classism a little bit in the movie, because you can't play with racism when you cast a white man as Heathcliff, right? Like that is one of the most central themes to this book, is the racism and the classism keeping Heathcliff in his position, and then everybody fucking abusing him, and then the cycle of abuse continues, and Heathcliff just becomes this absolute monster, despite him clawing to get up to try and reach Kathy's level. Because once he does, the whole thing is that he wants to become this like gentleman to thus be able to be worthy for Catherine, but he never will be, because he's a person of color, and that is the separation. Like there's the whole thing in here about him wanting to be blonde and blue-eyed like Edgar Linton. That's the whole thing. Like he's being kept low because of how people are treating him. And then that cycle of abuse, which starts with Hindley and all the servants and then all the people that they meet when they're kids, keeping Heathcliff so low and trying to force him to be this dirty thing that they see him as. And then Hindley trying to do that once Catherine is gone, and Heathcliff just being pushed through the mud and become this monster that he is, and then doing that to other people. That is the cycle of abuse. This book is about cycle of abuse. It's about the racism and classism, and there is so much shit going on in this book that as soon as you take that away and only focus on the romance of it, you are ripping apart the soul of this book. Like, you are not even representing it. So it is a shit adaptation of the book, but I don't think we've ever had a genuinely good adaptation of this book. I haven't seen any of the other ones, so do correct me if I'm wrong. I know a lot of people really like the Ralph Fiennes one, and I know there was one created in 2022 with the only person of color Heathcliff we've ever had casted. Crazy. I think it's genuinely because people are terrified to tackle the race issue. People also just don't ever adapt the second half of this book because it is the more harrowing to read. It's not as exciting as like the budding romance and obsession that we have with Heathcliff and Catherine, but it is so important to the book as a whole because it is showing these cycles of abuse and how they're, how they're done. Anyways, so as an adaptation, Wuthering Heights by Emma Fennell is atrocious. Like, it's so weak of a thing to do, because not only have we stripped away Heathcliff's race, thus stripping away that whole fucking plotline and whole theme of the book, we then have the colorblind casting of Edgar Linton and Nellie. In doing so, because Edgar Linton is cast, I believe he is a Pakistani actor who I think is also a fan cast. Like, people have been using him as a fan cast for Heathcliff. So the fact that he's cast as Edgar Linton is a little crazy to me. Shahzad Latif. He is from Punjab, Pakistan. Anyways, a person of color, Edgar Linton. And then we have a person of color, Nellie. And in the movie, Edgar Linton becomes more of a means to riches and wealth and security for Kathy than someone that she actually kind of, like, she does have feelings for in the novel. Like, she, not necessarily as heavy as Heathcliff, but like, they have a relationship and they do love each other in the novel. In the movie, like, there's no love between Catherine and Linton. Linton loves Catherine. Linton is like obsessed with her beauty or whatever. So like, I'll give him that. With Edgar being cast as a person of color and then him becoming this obstacle, essentially, he becomes mostly just an obstacle between Heathcliff and Kathy, right? That's his whole situation. He's the husband who is, doesn't turn her on, doesn't, do anything for her. Eventually, many years down there, like, she's bored in this marriage, right? And so he becomes just this person that is just there to stand between her and Heathcliff. And then we have Nellie, who is a person of color as well, and she becomes such, like, she is the antagonist of this movie. So she, throughout the movie, keeps Catherine and Heathcliff apart. Like, she's plotting for certain things in certain scenes. Like, you can see the scene where she is talking to Catherine and Catherine says that she's accepted Edgar Linton's proposal, but she doesn't know if she should or not because her soul is saying that it's wrong because his and mine are the same, or whatever the fuck the famous line is, right? And Heathcliff comes to the window and Nellie sees Heathcliff and then reiterates so that she makes sure that Heathcliff hears her. And then Kathy says, yes, because if I marry Heathcliff, it will degrade me. And then Heathcliff leaves because he's like, well, all right, I'm fucking out then. So like, Nellie is like kind of like putting dominoes in a line, not in a especially villainous way, but in a way to keep these two apart. Because she wants to make sure that her standing, Nellie's standing, and her life is more comfortable. Because she knows that if she stays in this house with this gambling addict and whatever, the father, Earnshaw, who has been Hindley and Earnshaw, the characters Hindley and Earnshaw are now the same in the movie, because there's no Hindley in the movie. No, we just have Earnshaw, Papa Earnshaw, who's just kind of the worst. We know that Nellie just wants better for herself and sort of for Kathy, but she knows that for herself to have any better means, she needs to make sure Kathy does, because she's attached to Kathy and that like she's the companion type of situation. So what Emerald Fennell has done with this casting is made the only two people of color in this movie the antagonists and the villains, keeping the two white people from being together and being happy. It is unfortunate and racist. I don't know if she did it in a racist way, like if she purposely went out of her way to be racist. I don't think so, but it is in the grand scheme of things in the story and what she did with them. And so that's my whole thing about the race in this movie, with like the removal of Heathcliff's being a person of color, and then also like colorblindly casting two people of color in roles that thus are villainous. And we've done that before. We've seen people of color as villains in so many different situations. Like, that is the stereotype, you know? And it's disappointing. That's really what it is. But what really rubbed me the wrong way with this movie is the treatment of Isabella's character. Now, my friends don't agree with me on this. They all were like, no, that was badass. That was awesome. We love how freaky she got. I think it is in such poor taste to take a character who is a victim of domestic violence and abuse, who then flees that abuse and gets away from it, to take that character and dumb her down into someone who likes that kink and likes this sexual abuse that Heathcliff does to her. And I think it's in such poor taste. It's such a poor taste to do that in a story when it's like you're taking this character and you're doing this with it. You know what I mean? Like, in the context of the movie, it's not necessarily that terrible. Like, sure, we can have Isabella with kink, but because it's so closely tied to the original source of Wuthering Heights, I think it's incredibly tone deaf to do so, to take a character who is a sufferer of domestic violence and then turn her into a literal dog walking on her hands and knees at Heathcliff's beck and call. You know what I mean? That's really what really rubbed me wrong with this movie. But if you take it away from the source material and you just hold it up as its own thing, which you can't really do with adaptations, it's like death of the author. You cannot remove a book from the point of view of the author. You cannot read Harry Potter and be like, well, I hate J.K. Rowling, but I'm still going to read Harry Potter because it's its own thing. No, you cannot do that. You know what I mean? Like, death of the author is not a thing. So, but if you take this movie and you watch it just in the context of have never read Wuthering Heights, go forth and just watch this movie. It is very Emerald Fennell-esque, from what I've heard, to be very shock factor with her movies. This movie is very visually gorgeous. It is beautifully shot. And it's just a really, really beautiful movie. And you have beautiful people on screen. You know what I mean? So I'll give it that. Beautiful people on screen. But the story as a whole feels so, I don't know, like, even just on its own, I was like, okay, sure, these two people can't be together. But she decided to go marry the rich guy so that she didn't fucking die of starvation or cold in the middle of the night. And she was trying to do that so that she could lift her whole family. Great, okay. And then Heathcliff comes back and they just start an affair and they're fucking everywhere. Literally everywhere. In the house, in the attic, in the forest, fucking in the carriage, you know, everywhere. And it becomes an extramarital affair. I don't know. Like, the character of Heathcliff in the movie is so bland. Like, he has no zest. He doesn't have anything really going on for him. Like, everyone always says that he's a brute. Oh, he's so rough or whatever. And then he's the most vanilla in the entire movie. And I'm just like, okay. It was boring. It was such a long movie. At the end, I was just sitting there, like, I kept checking my watch and I was like, okay, when is this gonna be fucking done? Because it was long and boring and drawn out. I was bored. It wasn't like an exciting, interesting movie. Like, if she wanted to make it this salacious, like, I don't know what she was trying to do with it, but like, it was boring. And that's kind of I can't even say that it was like this insane bastardization, hi baby, of Wuthering Heights, because it was just kind of mid. Like, it was a very mediocre mid film, removing it from Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. You know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna go there, go there. Like, there's a room, Kathy's bedroom is painted the color of her skin. Not only that, it is like flesh walls. Like, they're like spongy walls. And we have Isabella Linton, of course, becoming, you know, kink obsessed. We have the very, very tame BDSM moment of Joseph, whose entire character was completely butchered and not even there. His name was there, but the character that we know as Joseph from the book is not in this movie at all. But we have Joseph taking Zilla, who is a maid at this point, into the stable house and using the stable stuff on her in a very exciting sexual scene that, like, Kathy sees for the first time, and it's this like whole sexual awakening and whatever. And it was tame and vanilla, and I'm just like, it was a beautiful movie. I do think that baby Kathy and Margot Robbie were good in their roles. I do genuinely think they captured the essence of Kathy, the character, very well. Obviously, Margot Robbie's too old to be cast in this. She's too healthy looking. She's blonde, which Kathy is not. Kathy has dark hair and dark eyes in the book, but like whatever, right? Like appearances aside, she was a good Kathy. Even baby Kathy, whoever they had playing baby Kathy was like spot on for her. I think that Jacob Elordi was atrocious. The only other thing I've ever seen him in is The Kissing Booth, and he acted kind of like that character. So I don't think he can do very well. I'm really worried to see him in Frankenstein, because I saw someone talking on TikTok about the fact that Jacob Elordi basically modeled his way through Wuthering Heights, and that's what he did. And I got out of that movie, and there's so many moments where he's just mewing in the corner, and I'm like, he modeled his way through this movie. Like there were so many scenes where he's like supposed to be this, like, he's saying all these famous lines and it's like all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, okay. Like, it feels like I'm watching a stage play. Like, it feels like you're not being authentic right now. Like, he gave me nothing. He genuinely gave me nothing as Heathcliff. And I think the character of Heathcliff was so watered down that he was just kind of this moody man who didn't get his way. He was this really attractive servant that Kathy was obsessed with. That's about it. Like, on my way home, I was thinking about it. I'm like, this is kind of giving the storyline between Buttercup and, oh, what the fuck's his name? You know, in The Princess Bride. It's giving their relationship that you see at the very, very beginning of the novel. It didn't really give anything else than that. And I think Heathcliff is such a complex, interesting character in Emily Bronte's novel that, like, I don't know, man. They watered him down so much in this movie. He's so tame. He has nothing going for him. I genuinely think that Margot Robbie carried this movie on her shoulders. And also Isabella, whoever was cast as Isabella, what's her name? Alison Oliver, who played Isabella Linton. She is awesome. Like, she genuinely was so good. Like, she stole the scene every time she was on screen. So she did an incredible job. And I do think that the actor who played Nellie as well was also good in the role that she was given. I think the movie was boring. And I think it wasn't as salacious or as thrilling as people were making it out to be. I genuinely think it was just kind of dull. That's about it. Like, it's very pretty. I was so prepared to be like, this was awful, this was atrocious, for this reason. I can't even do that because it was just boring. We know it's not historically accurate because of the set design and the costuming. Like, it was a choice to make it like the way that it was. The set design is really fascinating because of the way that it is, like, it feels like you're watching something that is supposed to be a set. Like, the Lintons, like, Thrushcross Grange is, someone described it online as like Alice in Wonderland vibes, and it very much is. Like, it's like a dollhouse come to life. And then you have the very, very somber Wuthering Heights that's like cut from stone, and it's like, you know, very brutalist, and it's like there's scenes where it's up against a cliff face and it's like Heathcliff is cutting wood and it's against the rock and right? So like the set is specifically to evoke that emotion and whatever. I just think like it was made out to be this like absurdist gothic romance. I don't even really think we got the gothic elements because like it didn't give me that at all. Like the tone shifted into this absurdist type of film once we got away from the childhood stuff when Kathy married Linton and she went to Thrushcross Grange. Like, it is obviously very pretty and glitzy and glammy and all this kind of stuff, and it's absurdist. It really is. Like, the house itself is absurdist. Everything is too big and too empty. And I get why. It's like it's a mirroring of their relationship and whatever, and there's hands fucking everywhere, and I didn't like it at all. I didn't like it. I didn't have a good time. Like, it was genuinely just like not in a way of like hating it or hate watching it. I was just bored. And so yeah, that is my diatribe on Emerald Fennell's Wuthering Heights. Read the book. It's exceptional, even though I seem to be the only one who liked it as well. But here's the thing. You either love Wuthering Heights or you hate Wuthering Heights. There is that big divide, like you get it or you don't with this. And that's fine, because I love this. I get it. I loved it. And I think Emily Bronte is so incredible as an author. Her character work and her thematic work in character and world and story is just so good. And like it kept me so engaged, and I loved every second of this book, even though it's not a book that's fun in any way. Like, it's definitely a very dark book. It's brutal. I loved it. So that's fine. But yes, my friends, that's my diatribe on Wuthering Heights. I have been fighting off a headache all day. I feel atrocious too, so maybe that doesn't help. But I do also know my taste in movies, and that was not one of them. I want a Wuthering Heights because I know this book as a whole is very difficult to adapt properly, because if you did the entire story, like, you would need a full TV show length situation going on, and like, you know, you need to do a lot of work on that. But I want like a genuinely gothic Wuthering Heights. I want a Wuthering Heights that is horror. I want the frame narrative. I want Lockwood to come in at the beginning of this fucking movie and go to Wuthering Heights, this very drama, very gothic castle vibe. And I want him to experience Kathy's ghost. I want there to be ghosts. And then I want to see Heathcliff crumble and losing his shit. And then I want to be thrown back in time as we sit down with Nellie over like a flickering flame. And it's like this ghost story almost. Like, I want the gothic elements to come back, because this is such a gothic novel and we get none of that in the movie. It becomes absurdist and colorful, which, you know what, I love being able to see in movies, because movies and TV shows today are like so poorly lit that they're hard to see. So we love being able to see every scene of Wuthering Heights. That was great. There was a fuck ton of fog too, so the atmosphere was there. But like, it didn't give me gothic, it didn't give me spooky, because this book is genuinely terrifying. Not only because of the ghosts and like the spooky vibes, but because of the people that we're dealing with. And I really, really, really want a Wuthering Heights that genuinely does that and goes there. Sure, we can keep it to a tight first half of the novel with just Kathy and Heathcliff, but like, I want that level of spook. I want the horror. I want the genuinely terrible Heathcliff. I want the Kathy who's kind of vapid and terrible, but like is obsessed with this man and is like, that's my pet, that's my possession, you know? Like, I want those levels of characters, because that's interesting. It doesn't have to be this romance book, because it's not a romance book. You know what I mean? That's my thoughts. That's what I want. I want a genuinely gothic horror Wuthering Heights. I do. Because I think someone was talking about this in one of their reviews online, that like the director of Nosferatu, I think it was Nosferatu, something along those lines, where they were inspired by this text because of how gothic it was. My cat's staring at me from the corner. Hi, baby. I've also had cat TV on in the background, and I've been talking for over 30 minutes again. But yeah, I've been battling a headache all day, and this is coffee that I made at 1 p.m. that is not warm anymore, because it was in my car the whole time. But I genuinely, I haven't felt this way over a book in a really long time. Like, having that feeling of like, I want to study this. I want to listen to the podcasts. I want to get other people's opinions. I want to hear people talk about this book. I've seen so many people now like actually talking about Wuthering Heights, the book, and like describing scenes in it. And it's like changed my opinion on scenes, or like opened my eyes to things that I didn't see in scenes. And I miss that. That is what I miss from university. I don't miss anything else. The only thing I miss is sitting in class and discussing books with a professional, like a professor, and then other peers as we like discuss ideas and stuff like that. Like, that is what I miss so much. And this is a book that I would have loved to study. Oh my God. Like, my mom called me the other day. We're just going to keep yapping, my friends. This is like a FaceTime catch up. I went to physio, and then I went to the library, and then I went to Costco because I had to pick up a prescription that I've been having prescription issues for a week and a half. I went to go pick up my prescription, and I called my mom on the way there, and I told her that I was going to Wuthering Heights today, and we were going to talk about the book as well. And she was like, why do I know that? And then she called me when I walked into, again, we called each other like 3 or 4 times that day, because it was weird. Like, that trip of me driving from the library to Costco, which is genuinely like 15-20 minutes across the city, but not across the city, just a part of the city. She called me as I was walking through Costco, and she said, hi, baby. And she was like, yeah, like, I was trying to think of like what Wuthering Heights was, and I recognized it because we read that in high school, and it's the story of like Heathcliff and Catherine and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, how do you remember that? Because she's in her 60s, right? Like, and she read it in high school. I barely remember the books I read in high school. The only ones I do remember are titles, and I don't even remember the content of the story, really. To Kill a Mockingbird, and we watched Romeo and Juliet with guns. So like, hi, you being a little turd. So I was like, how do you remember that? And it's just some stories just stick with you. Thank you, Freya, for the tale. I think that is actually fascinating how much this story has stuck with the zeitgeist, even in ways that aren't true necessarily, like taking that level of obsession and possession and vibe of Kathy and Heathcliff and seeing them as like the most romantic people. I find it very interesting that our zeitgeist and our culture and our society has taken the stories like that and have made Rochester from Jane Eyre and Heathcliff some of the most like romantic leads. And that makes no sense at all when you actually read the source text. They are not what you should be striving for in your romance. You know what I mean? They are terrifying men who use power against women in very, very, very terrifying ways. Anyways, I thought that was funny that my mom called me to talk about Wuthering Heights. And she's like, yeah, I read that in school. And then she started talking about Watership Down. She's like, yeah, there was one with rabbits. And I was like, oh God, Mom. Didn't mean to bring the literature out in you, but that's my story for today, my friends. I'm gonna go sit on my couch and take some more Advil because my head is hurting still. So if you've seen the movie, please leave your thoughts down below. I'm gonna go sit on my couch. Maybe I'll finish The Poet Empress or something, but oh my God. Hey baby. Hello. You're not looking at me, you're looking at the window. It's really hard to tell. Goose. Oh, there we go. There we go. Pretty girl. She's sitting here on my jeans with her pickle. She's such a happy girl. Hey? Yeah? Don't bite me. Hey. Hey. You were being so sweet and now you're being a turd. Hello, friends. Happy Monday. Oh my God, you made it to the end of this vlog. I'm editing it right now. You saw me earlier. Editing trying to pop again. But holy shit, almost an hour and a half. I am so sorry. I had too much to say, apparently. And I'm still gonna yap a little bit now because I'm gonna close out this vlog. But my guys, what a weekend. I not only finished An Arcane Inheritance, which I gave 3 stars to, and saw Wuthering Heights, which I gave 2 stars to. I also just finished The Poet Empress, 4.5 stars. Fucking amazing book. That ending took my breath away. It was so good. So good. I stunning. Top to bottom. That book was so fantastic. It was such an interesting examination of character and the growth of our main character and the investigation of the other characters that she's looking at in this attempt to write this death poem. And it just fascinating book. Highly recommend. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. That was so fascinating. And the way that it made you feel so much pity for this monster. Dude, what a talented author. Oh my God. I will be keeping my eyes out for Chantal's future work because that was fucking great. So good. I'm gonna be thinking about that for so long. Like, I genuinely, for the past few weeks, like, have been reading just such bangers that just make me think. Like, I not only have read, like, I started the month with Empire of Exiles, and then I read Dawn by Octavia E. Butler, which made me think so much, and it was very uncomfy. And then I read The Everlasting, which I fucking loved, and was 5 stars. And I just, like, a new favorite, fucking loved it so fucking much. And then I read Wuthering Heights, which has just caused this whole tirade and like low-key, I'm obsessed with the story and I want to reread it. That's where I'm at right now. Like, I want to reread it now that I've read it once and like examine the movie. I want to reread the book again so that I can like just get it all in my brain, which is crazy because I have so many other things I need to read. And then I read An Arcane Inheritance, which was only 3 stars. But it was interesting to think about. And like to think about the craft of it all as an author myself. And now I've read The Poet Empress, which was just so fucking fantastic. I don't even know what the fuck I'm going to read next because like genuinely I've had so many bangers. I'm just like, this has been a great reading month. I'm having such a fun time with the books that I'm reading and the media that I'm consuming. So love that. Anyways, please leave any thoughts you have down below. Again, I do apologize for the length of this vlog, but I really hope you made it all the way to the end. If you did make it to the end, leave me a little hand heart emoji, you know, for the romance of it all. Anyway. Anyways, my friends, thank you so much for hanging out with me this weekend. It's been so much fun. I will catch you in another video very soon. Stay kind and keep on reading.